when you ask the universe or source a question, how do you know if the answer that you're getting is from a higher realm or from your own monkey mind or ego? Well, what I've learned is that if you're receiving the answer, even before you fully get the question out, this will be, in all likelihood, source or your higher self or guidance. It's when you have to think about it or analyze it yourself that you can be pretty sure whatever answer you're getting has that element of doubt within it. Over the years, I've talked to others who have also found this to be true, and I've learned to listen to that immediate knowingness. And that doesn't mean, of course, that we're always in the frequency to hear or gain the answer, especially if we're in a state of fear or anxiety, as this can block us from receiving that knowledge at that time. But there's a subtle sort of awareness, a knowing that one is more than this body and this life, and could, if desired, do anything, know anything that we put our minds to or focus on. This is what allows us to connect, to hear, and to receive the answer. It's a little hard to explain, but it's like having a memory of being a genius. Or maybe not really a genius as it's viewed on Earth, but, a savant of sorts. Like a person who just knows things without being taught or even knowing where the information is coming from. You first have to be willing to accept that this could be you. It's like an inner voice, but not the voice of one's self, that monkey mind we talked about, and that voice that harasses you 24/7. And maybe it's not even really a voice, more like an internal awareness or consciousness that has all the answers. And we can just tune in to this awareness and know. We've probably all spontaneously slid into that awareness on occasion, but maybe not accepted it or even been aware of it. Maybe we just haven't believed we could know these things. And yet, it's just a natural part of who we are. Ask and you shall receive. It's all there within our grasp. So, if we can do this, why don't we just know everything and share it all with the world? Because, and this is my point, at the same time we have that knowing comes that immediate self-deprecating condemnation that living in this matrix world does to us all. Come on, you don't know this. You're just making this up. You can't know this because you haven't learned it. We have been so duped and exploited by religion and other bureaucratic authority and told that self-esteem and confidence is vain and egotistical, and that we should be meek and submissive. Frankly, there's nothing wrong with being meek, but it shouldn't mean that we must be compliant only to an outside authority to answer our questions or teach us. Meekness could mean peaceful and humble, but it's taught to mean being obedient and timid, leaving us open to outside manipulation and control. So most of us have had those moments of self-doubt and probably have even disregarded or ignored the guidance coming forward. Because, after all, how could I, little me, know this stuff? So, as good little humans, we spend most of our years holding down the knowing part and expressing the docile part. My spiritual teacher once said, never defend your limitations. Don't pretend you don't know the answer or feign ignorance so others won't see you as arrogant or egotistical. If you do this, your source being will go along with it and will block that knowledge from your awareness. We don't gain points for being coy or shy or passive. Several years ago, I was confronted by the husband of a woman I was really good friends with. She and I shared a lot of deep philosophical conversations, and she would occasionally mention to her husband some of the things that we talked about. For some reason, some of the information that I offered within this dialogue seemed to bother him, and surprisingly, he confronted me, wanting me to justify my status as any sort of insightful being. How can you know this? You're not a guru. Where did you learn this? Questioning my audacity or daring to inform another with what I innately knew or had learned through my otherworldly sources. Well, for whatever reason, at that moment, my authentic self came forward and began, without any hesitation or uncertainty, to calmly provide a rationale justifying my right to take up space on the planet as exactly who I came to be. I reeled off my ethereal and human qualifications in being a somewhat aware soul, and to simply know what I know. It was a surprising moment of clarity and strength that I sure didn't expect. And as I listened to my own voice saying all the things I had held in for so long, I was amazed at the validity coming through in simple honesty. It was like being freed. Afterwards, this guy, her husband, just kind of stared at me like he didn't know what to say or how to respond. So I finally just walked away, wondering who the heck that was who was saying all these things that came out of my mouth. The surprising and unpredictable thing was that from then on, he seemed to have a new respect and regard for me as his friend. Why am I telling you all this? Well, I once had an ET friend say to me, if you are in possession or knowledge of information that has been of help to you, share it with anyone who will listen. So I'm sharing this with you, along with all the other information I shared in my other videos. Undoubtedly, it won't fit everyone, but it may act as a seed planted in the heart, ready to sprout when the time is right. Standing up for who you know yourself to be is not conceited. It's not egotistical to be truthful with the facts of what you know and who you are. And it's impossible for a starseed to do his or her work if they hide themselves under a cloak of human frailties and weaknesses. And obviously, this should not just be an opportunity to be right or to brag or lift yourself up higher than the other. As always, it's essential to be kind and sensitive to where the other is coming from. It is not our job to try to change another person or tell them that they're mistaken in their thinking. It's just as important to listen to their explanation without a reaction of irritation. Well, unless they're just out of control, of course. For example, it would not necessarily be wise to divulge certain arcane or esoteric knowledge to one who may use it to bring injury to another, or even just to ridicule them, or maybe use it as leverage to bring harm to another person. You know the old saying, casting pearls before swine. All I'm hoping to say here is that when someone questions the validity of who you say you are, or asks you to uphold or defend your own existence or wisdom, it is morally justified to give them the opportunity to know the real you. So, those of you who know what I'm talking about when I mention that internal genius, don't be afraid to use it, because that is honestly your authentic self. That's who you truly are. So, thanks for listening. And most of all, thanks for being the brilliant and beautiful souls you genuinely are. Bye-bye.